Hello, good afternoon. Happy Thursday, everyone. Just bear with me for a second while I come over here and go live in another location. Hello, welcome. I hope everyone is having a good day. Um, okay. So, hello, welcome back. If you are just joining me, my name is Portia Barton, and I am a mom of kiddos with life-threatening food allergies. And I've been doing a series over the past few weeks just talking about food allergies and just to keep it simple for people and so everyone understands. I'm just kind of doing like an ABCs of food allergy series. So if you're new, welcome. If you're joining me from another time, because you've been on before, then welcome back. So give me a second here. I'm just trying to see if I'm all set up. And it looks like I am. So let's see. Okay. So yes, hello, and welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to hop on here with me while I talk about some really important issues. I'm going to talk about some food allergy stuff. And the reason I've chosen to do this is, Food Allergy Awareness Week is coming up in May. And it is May 12th through the 18th. And so I just am on here basically talking about food allergies, specifically life-threatening food allergies and living with life-threatening food allergies, and what that looks like as a food allergy caregiver. Let's see here. So I appreciate y'all being on here with me today. So for the last few sessions, I've had this little whiteboard that I've used to just kind of write down things that I've talked about in the week prior, and then what I'm going to talk about this week. So last week I covered the letters in the alphabet D, E, F, and G, and we talked about dermatitis, which is also another word for eczema. I talked about epinephrine and EOE, which stands for eosinophilic esophagitis. I discussed the difference between food allergy versus a food intolerance. And I just touched on grief a little bit, just because my daughter Charlotte lost her life to anaphylactic shock from exposure to a food allergen. And so if you don't know about Charlotte's story, I have created a website called livelikechar.com. If you want to go check it out, I've also got a YouTube channel that I have dedicated as a space to talk about food allergies and food allergy awareness, and also shed light on Charlotte's life. And so welcome and thank you for being here. So today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to touch on, okay, there's my ring light, on hives as it pertains to food allergies, and also the immune system, the response of the immune system. I'm going to talk a little bit about some joy that Charlotte brought to our lives, and also knowledge and how important that is when you are dealing with food allergies and food allergy awareness. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to give it a few minutes and see if some people hop on here. So also too, I just want to kind of preface by saying that I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical expert at all. I am just a food allergy advocate, a food allergy ally, food allergy mom, food allergy caregiver, and this is a very important subject, near and dear to my heart. And so I just wanted to get on here and discuss just some things that in my personal life and journey with my kids with food allergies, how these terms have pertained to our situation specifically. So welcome if you're joining, if you're hopping on here. I appreciate you being here. Um, so yeah, so I'm just gonna get started. Let me see really quick. Give me 1 second. Let's see something on here. Bear with me 1 moment. Let's see. Okay. Yes, it does look like I am live on YouTube as well. So, okay. Okay, great. So, what I'm going to start off today talking about, as I put on my little whiteboard here, I'm going to start with the letter H, and I'm going to talk about hives. Um, there's a medical word, a medical term for hives, and it's, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. It's urticaria, but I would just rather say hives because it's easier. um, yeah. So if anybody is on here that has ever had hives or broken out into hives, that is a reaction, your body's reaction to some sort of allergic response. Typically, is what hives are. They're like red, itchy bumps. They can kind of pop up anywhere on your body. They're quite uncomfortable, mostly because of the itch. Um, and they can range in size. They can cause like an immediate reaction. Um, Sorry, I'm getting things here. Immediate reaction, or and that usually, can appear in minutes or even slowly over some hours. It can take to manifest and pop up. Um, but typically, they do appear suddenly. I know a couple of my children have had issues where they've broke out into hives for various reasons. My They've normally been pretty mild, not nothing too crazy. I will say that my older daughter, did break out into hives before she was diagnosed with POTS, which is a whole nother topic. I'm not really talking about POTS today, but she was just breaking out into hives out of nowhere, and we had no like understanding as to why. And um, little later on down the line, she was diagnosed with POTS, but that was one of the first symptoms that she was having. It was just random breakouts of hives. Um, some triggers for hives that I'll go over are so animal dander, especially cats and dogs. I know my a couple of my kiddos are allergic to our dogs, and so we have to really manage their allergy really well, and always making sure that the hair and the dander is in control. And so that was something that my daughter Charlotte would do. She would randomly sometimes break out into hives if she had been petting our dog Willow. And so she was always making sure she was washing her hands and stuff. Insect bites, certain medicines, certain environmental triggers like pollen, and of course, being outside. I know another thing. My daughter Charlotte, she was allergic to every grass there was, many trees, and so if she would be running around in the grass, she would get super itchy from running around in the grass and stuff. So that was also a trigger. And then of course, allergic reactions from foods can cause various levels of hives at times. And so I mean, you if you eat something and you don't have like a severe reaction that would cause you to go into anaphylaxis, but you do have some sort of reaction. Hives are usually something that is a more of a milder thing, at least in our situation. So you would just eliminate that trigger if you know what it is, and then maybe take an antihistamine of your choice. But I would always consult with your doctor if you are worrisome or don't know how to treat hives. Um, it's something that you would definitely need to discuss with your medical a medical professional, which I am not. So okay, so yeah, so hives, kind of basic, just as I look over in my research and do, try to find words of the alphabet with certain letters. I mean, there's not a whole lot of options for some letters. So I'm just kind of going based upon what is our experience, what, I know, and what has been worked for us and what has happened for our experience. So yeah, so the next letter that I'm going to talk about, or that I'm going to jump to, is the letter I. And for the letter I wanted to talk about the immune system. And again, I want to preface that I have been told by a doctor, also that I have researched through my years of being a food allergy mom. My food allergy journey as a caregiver started in 2010 when my daughter Charlotte was born with life-threatening food allergies as an infant, and was hospitalized, and we didn't know what was happening. And through process of elimination, come to find out that she was being exposed to the food allergens through my breast milk, and was reacting pretty severely to that. So that began our life as a food allergy family back in 2010. So what was happening is her immune system was just getting exposed to these allergens, and it was just in an overreactive state. And so your immune system it's a pretty complex thing. It's basically a network of like organs and cells and proteins and tissues, and they defend your body against infection and pathogens. And your immune system it'll keep record of every germ that has ever entered your body, and uh, it will defeat it. Okay, so it keeps record of every germ that is ever defeated, so it can recognize and destroy the germ again quickly if it ever enters the body again. So just to kind of, you know, um, put it in terms that hopefully you can understand, your immune system is like your biologic makeup, kind of. A lot of things go on with your immune system, and how you heal, how sick you get, how often you get sick. I mean, there's a lot that plays into that. And so let's look at my page here. So with that, having life-threatening food allergies, it can significantly impact your immune system in various ways. So one way is hyperactivity of immune response. And so also too, I just want to preface, I get my information online through some various nonprofits that I research and have kind of relied on these past 18, 19 months, and just finding out everything I can more about food allergies. So your immune system is on overdrive when you have life-threatening food allergies, typically. So when you're exposed to an allergen, your immune system will like kind of overreact, or it's overly sensitive. And it can put a strain on your immune system, especially if there's a lot of exposure at various times. So that's one way. Like there's an overreaction or a hyperreaction to to your immune system when you are exposed to allergens. Okay. So the second thing, how having life-threatening food allergies can impact your immune system is it increases the production of IgE. And IgE is an antibody that stands for immunoglobulin E. And so um, allergic reactions trigger that release of that antibody. And then what happens is it'll bind to your allergen, which will initiate a response from your immune system. And so in Charlotte's case, I'll give you an example. Um, when she was exposed to environmental allergens, which happened a lot. I mean, because, who doesn't go out into the environment? Um, and so what that looked like, like I said, pollen, grass, trees. I mean, pollen's in the air. You can't really escape that. And so, you would breathe it in through your nose, and that was a strain on her immune system, especially living where we live in Texas. We are a very allergy prone state just because of the pollution and the air quality a lot of times. So a lot of factors play into exposure to environmental allergens, um, and along with that, having asthma too can also affect how your body and your immune system reacts and handles those types of things. Um, so, and like I said, the dander from pets, cat and dog dander, it would cause her to react. And it was hard to kind of keep control of at times. Is even just being in the environment that she was. We our house backs up to a main highway, and so the pollution alone from that highway, I mean, we know it affected her, and we didn't know it immediately upon moving in. It's just over time of being at the house. Um, Her and her dad and also her little brother, their asthma was like kicked up. It was flared. It was more prevalent, and so repeated exposure to certain allergens over time that lead to that production of that IgE, it weighs on your immune system. It does. It's like your immune system is in constant fight or flight, if that makes sense. So, okay. So the next thing that how having food allergies affects your immune system is inflammation. And inflammation is it can affect so many things. And allergic reactions often involve inflammation, some type of inflammation somewhere. Um, the body trying to kind of neutralize threats that it perceives, or neutralize things that it perceives as threats. And chronic inflammation can cause an unbalance, like an imbalance of it can cause an imbalance and increase the risk of other health issues. So, like let's say you catch a cold, and then that triggers your asthma, which causes inflammation in your lungs and in your airways. And it's just kind of like it's just a trickle down, one thing leads to this, and then one other thing leads to this. And then suddenly you've got this huge flare, or you've got an asthma attack. And it's just, um, you know, it's inflammation is no joke, and food allergies and allergic reactions lead to inflammation. Asthma attacks lead to inflammation, and so that's important to note as far as the immune system and as it relates to life-threatening food allergies. Another thing it can do is it can alter your microbiome in your gut. Secondary infections oftentimes. So the fifth thing, I jumped ahead a little bit. So altering your microbiome, also to secondary infections. And so what that means basically is, so oftentimes my daughter Charlotte, she would get a cold or a virus, okay, and it would lead to further asthma problems. which would require her to be on a steroid to get that under control, or like a bacterial infection, like an upper respiratory infection, that would cause her to need to be on an antibiotic. And so it's fairly common for you to catch a virus, and then because of your body trying to fight off the virus, um, you'll get an ear infection or a upper respiratory infection. And so, sorry about the beeping. And so, yeah, and so that's another way that having life-threatening food allergies affects your immune system. Another way is reduced tolerance to other allergens. Overexposure after so much can take a toll on your immune system, and also, it can have a health or have a impact on your mental health. And that's like a whole nother video, how having food allergies and just the trickle down from that can affect someone's mental health, how they handle having food allergies, how they are treated when they have food allergies. And I hope to make do a live at some point in the future about that and what that was like for Charlotte, as she lived with food allergies, because oftentimes it was tough. So yeah, okay. So I talked about hives for the letter H. I talked about the immune system, which plays a giant role in when you have life-threatening food allergies and asthma and allergies in general. And then, so the next letter I was going to talk about, just I wanted to briefly touch on, was joy. And so that's not really a food allergy type of thing, really. I just wanted to throw that in there to talk about Charlotte and like how much joy kind of Charlotte brought to not just her family's life, but people who knew her and who met her and who loved her. And she had a very big and broad impact on everyone that she met. And her not being here and her loss has it really impacted a lot of people. And Charlotte was a very joyful person and just brought joy to those that she knew. Um, and so we miss her a lot. And I just feel like that doing these lives, I want to always touch on a way that Charlotte's impact, was, and on how her impact meant, and what she meant to have a lot of people. And so, give me one second here, and I'm going to talk about. I wanted just to read something from her yearbook, from her 7th grade yearbook. So Charlotte's school at the end of 2023, of the 2022-2023 school year, they came out with the yearbook, and our family dedicated a page to Charlotte in the yearbook, and then also the school dedicated a page to Charlotte. And so I'll show you briefly, they just put some pictures right here. Let me do this. There it is right here. It's like a memoriam of Charlotte Barton. So the school did that. And yeah, there was my girl. That's my girl right there. And so one of her teachers wrote just a little thing in here, and I just wanted to read it to you. So 1 second. Okay. So she was a friend and classmate. She was a sister and daughter. She was an advocate and a learner. Charlotte Rose Barton was all these things and so much more. She was supposed to see her teen years. She was supposed to travel, and she was supposed to experience life beyond middle school. Her loss happened too soon, but her legacy will outlive us all. Bringing attention and awareness to food allergies and asthma is the best way for those left behind to honor her memory. Leo Adams Middle School will forever be changed by Charlotte, and her memory will endlessly live with all who knew her. And one of Charlotte's teachers wrote that in the yearbook for her right there. So that's my girl. So I just wanted to read that just to kind of touch on, I was talking about the joy that Charlotte brought, excuse me, to those who knew her and to her family's life. And I just thought it was important to bring that up. And so, let me see, let me take a drink. Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay. So lastly, I would like to talk about how knowledge, for the letter K, I'm going to talk about knowledge, specifically knowledge about life-threatening food allergies, and just how it can impact those who don't understand just how serious food allergies are. Because I will tell you that I've had people who've messaged me and DM me and just talking to people that I've met that they did not realize that someone could die from an allergic reaction. Like, people don't know that. People don't realize that that can happen. And so there's the story, right? There's the epiphany, there's the teaching point, there's the, let's talk about that. So, it's my hope to help educate others to understand, because when you do understand and you realize that it can happen, the impact is profound. Um, and like I said, I've talked to people. I have a grief counselor coach that has been helping me along this journey. And when I first spoke with her, she didn't know. She didn't know that that could happen. That someone could have such a severe allergic reaction in the way that Charlotte did, that it could cause them to die, to pass away. And so, by increasing understanding about the potential severity of life-threatening food allergies and allergic reactions, it'll lead to people having more empathy, a better understanding, a better consideration for those who live with life-threatening food allergies, because it is a struggle and it is a fearful thing to have. Um, and there are people who live and they advocate and they are careful and they do what they've got to do to make sure that they are safe. And it's, as a caregiver, it's a never ending process to do that. So I just want to empower people with the knowledge that I have, and that what I've learned, especially in these last 18 months, because there are things that I have learned in the past 18 months that I didn't know before everything happened with Charlotte. And so that is the talking point. And so, um, I want to empower people to take preventative measures to avoid exposing those that they may know to allergens. And so, a way that people can help do that, proper food labeling is super important. Um, I'll give you an example of this. There was a tragedy back in like January of this year of a young British dancer who was living in New York as like a professional dancer, and she had eaten a cookie that came from a package that was mislabeled. It was mislabeled that it did not have peanuts, when in fact it did have peanuts in it. And she lost her life because of that. So the fact that that happened means that something needs to change. And proper food labeling is super important. Avoiding cross-contamination in food prep and being mindful of ingredients in shared spaces. A lot of times when I'm cooking, there have been many times where I have made 2 different meals. If I prepped something that my daughter and son could not eat, I would have 2 separate spaces to do that, and so there's a knowledge factor there. You've gotta know, like, not to be mixing that counter space stuff with the other counter space stuff, if indeed that is if you are doing that. So, um, so understanding, with the understanding and the knowledge of the severity of food allergies, it can cultivate creating a creative and supportive, or I'm sorry, not creative, a supportive space and environment. And I say that because I know that for Charlotte when she was younger and growing up, and there were certain social situations that went on, and it would lead to fear sometimes for Charlotte, but more times than not, she would just bring her own food, as a comfort for herself and just to not have to worry for herself and for me. Um, but people would roll their eyes. Um, and looking back on that now, it's just sad, and it's um, people just don't understand. And oh, your kid's got food allergies. Oh well, you know they can't be that big of a deal, or it mustn't be that big of a deal, or why are her eyes watering? Like, why is she sneezing? Like, geez, it's always something with her. Like I've experienced that, and it's not fun, and it makes the child feel less if they witness that or hear something like that too. And um, so being accommodating and to people who have special dietary needs, and at social gatherings, and restaurants do it most of the time. If we go out to a restaurant, we are talking to like chefs and cooks, to ensure that they're going to safely cook our child's food. um, so in dealing with knowledge also comes the importance of emergency response. um, and this is really important because allergic reactions are scary and tricky, and they can mimic something else. So when you understand the signs and symptoms of an allergic reaction, it can cause you to act quicker without hesitation and without fear. Um, and it's super important to be super quick when an allergic reaction is taking place. It's timing is of the essence. And so, you've got to be quick to administer epinephrine and to call 911. And being mindful and aware of what that situation looks like is important. So, so the last thing I was going to touch on, advocacy and awareness. The more it's like the saying, the more you know. When you're educated, you can advocate for change, and policies and practices that promote allergy safety, in schools and public settings and community spaces. Increased awareness, it will lead to um, the implementation of more allergy friendly initiatives, and resources, which is really important. So, really quick and see. Okay, 1 second. Just want to check something really quick. Okay, and so I'm going to kind of wrap this up here. Just want to talk about with the knowledge factor, um, with life-threatening food allergies, comes the ability to reduce the stigma that comes along with having life-threatening food allergies. When you educate and you inform, it helps to dispel myths and misconceptions that people have, and that are surrounding food allergies. which then it can reduce the stigma and the, I don't want to say discrimination, but it's just a lack of understanding that people have against people with food allergies. And I've witnessed it. And it's not, it's not, I don't think it's out of meanness, or people just have an ear regard. They just don't know. They don't realize. And life-threatening food allergies is considered as a disease. Like it's a disability. Um, people who have life-threatening food allergies, they are typically placed on 504 plans at schools, if they're young children, and even in college, um, to make sure that the environment and the people that they come in contact with daily have that knowledge of what to do in an emergency situation. And so, um, you know, I just want to help promote safety and support and empower those who live with food allergies to not live in fear. Um, Even though that's really hard, I know, because I know as a food allergy caregiver, I am constantly living in fear, even though I try really hard not to. Um, I work at it every day, but I just, especially with going forward for my son Brandon, he's got life-threatening food allergies, and um, I want him to know that going forward that everything's going to be okay, and safety first, and that we'll always be looking out for him when it comes to his food allergies. So yeah, but I'm not as long-winded today as I've been other days. But I just wanted to end this and say thank you. If you hopped on and listened a little, I appreciate it. And if not, I'm going to post this. This is going to be on YouTube. I am doing it live on YouTube, and if anybody missed it, you can always go back and check it out at a later time. So yes, just a reminder, Food Allergy Awareness Week is coming up May 12th through the 18th of 2024. And I'm going to be doing a live with another food allergy mom. And I might hop on there on a live with my son Brandon, if he wants to do it with me, and just talk about how he is and how he's doing living with food allergies, and what that looks like for him. But I'm only gonna do it if he wants to. So anyway, I'm going to get ready to sign off. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you, and take care.